Hey there, today I'm going to talk about why, at least for the immediate future, I am not planning on covering Star Wars Shatterpoint on YouTube any longer. But also, 5 reasons why you should give it a shot if you haven't already. My name is Nate, and welcome to the Gamers Guild. So, I haven't been making a ton of Shatterpoint content recently. To anyone who follows closely, the news about me no longer making Shatterpoint content is probably not terribly surprising, because it's been a good month or so since I've really done anything dedicated to the game. So I'm going to get into the why of all that, but I also still really want to encourage you before you cut out to try this game if you haven't already before discounting it. So let's start by saying that gameplay is not at all the reason that I am not going to be making content. Really, the main reason I'm not making content is the main reason many of you don't pick up another game system or maybe drop one out of your rotation. The lack of time or a lack of local community. As I get older, more specifically, as my wonderful daughter gets older, I'm finding myself with less and less free time. Along then with other commitments like trying to get into a better exercise routine and stuff like that. So to try and put another game into my rotation of both painting minis and terrain, as well as playtime for said game, is already time intensive, and then even stacking more on top of that with making content surrounding that game gets just a little bit ridiculous. Now, I enjoy the Shatterpoint system and what it is offering, and it might be worth that time commitment if I knew I was going to be able to play games on a regular basis. For MCP, I've been able to have that local community because I beat the drum and helped start and maintain that local community. And I don't really have another weeknight to do that with Shatterpoint, and would rather continue to see the local MCP maintain its audience and grow that than split the attention to another game. So there are others around me that have Shatterpoint, but to my knowledge there isn't really anyone really trying to get a community going for that game locally yet. Now, I'm still going to be picking up some models occasionally because these sculpts are beautiful, and I would love to add some stormtroopers and other Imperial forces to my collection for the occasional pickup game that I get in, and honestly just to paint. But that isn't quite enough to justify me continuing to make content for it. It isn't fair to you all for me to try and make content and suggestions for a system I don't really regularly interact with. However, I can still gush about what a cool game system Shatterpoint has and some of my favorite aspects about what they are doing with the system to encourage you to go find a demo and get some hands-on experience with the game if you can. Reason number 1 you should give this game a try is the combat tree system. I had never played a game with a combat tree before. I know other games like Arena Rex and Guild Ball use them, so it's not anything groundbreaking and new, but it is really smooth and can help create some nice distinctions between units. Especially when we are getting 10 versions of different kinds of clone troopers. Having maybe one specialized in handing out conditions, another that is very mobile, and one that has a few shoves and so on, can help make units much more distinct, even if there is a lot of ability overlap on the character cards. Now, reason number 2, and man, this seems silly to have as a whole point, but I really love the ingress point system AMG are using to help traverse elevation. Climbing up and down levels of terrain for so many games is clunky and has a whole extra page of special rules, and maybe even multiple ways to deal with that interaction. MCP's solution is elegant in its simplicity of anyone can climb up and down buildings, and superheroes, so sure, but Shatterpoint's is elegant in its application. Basically, in Shatterpoint, if someone ends a move within range 1 or 1 inch of a ladder, they're allowed to be placed at the other end of that ladder, whether that's up or down. No extra abilities or costs to do it. Now, sure, people need to be conscious of where ladders are being placed and that there's an even distribution, because they are very powerful. All in all, though, this is probably my favorite solution to a problem I've seen so many wargames struggle with. For point number 3, and this may be less of a selling point to the people not as interested in painting, But man, these models are just gorgeous. As someone who is a general fan of Star Wars and also enjoys the hobby of painting, this game scratches the itch better than anything else I have found. The bigger scale helps over something like Legion, but more importantly to me is the design choice that leans away from the heroic scale emphasis on faces and maybe weapons and stuff like that, and instead they are able to lean into the Clone Wars and Rebels art style. For at least what they have shown us so far, which makes for a very cool and distinct style for the game. Number 4 is the dice consistency. This is something I have talked about probably a few times now, but I'm still just such a fan of how these dice were designed and how it goes hand in hand with the expertise system that gives your dice less opportunities to fail you. Basically, despite only having a third of a chance at rolling a block on defense dice, you also have a third of a chance at rolling an expertise, which will incrementally help your defense roll. It makes me feel like there are less rolls where my dice just do nothing, because even if I only get a couple of expertise in a roll, they're still contributing in a good way, rather than just looking for pure blocks. And of course the same thing goes for the offensive expertise charts and the additional effects that they can offer, including sometimes just free damage. It's just such a smart system to help the dice feel better, while not always being crazy successful and consistent. My 5th and final reason to give this game a try is the IP. Star Wars, at the end of the day, is awesome. And if you like Star Wars, for all the good and bad, you'll get a kick out of Obi-Wan teaming up with Anakin to chase down Cad Bane and Dooku. Maybe have a training exercise to see if Obi-Wan and his 212th can hold their own against Mace and his ARF troopers. Or set up a scenario of what if to have the Sith Lords like Vader and Dooku battle it out. Or let Jedi Knight Luke team up with his dad as Clone Wars Anakin for the father-son team-up that could never be. There is certainly an extra level of draw to this game if you enjoy the Star Wars IP and lore. If not, it's still a cool skirmish game with some awesome mechanics, but it certainly has that extra level of draw for people looking to play out their favorite moments. So those are my 5 reasons that you should try to give the game a shot if you can find a demo. And if you can find a demo, it probably means you also have a local community that you can go into and help grow. Here at the end of the video, I want to give my sponsors a shout out as always. If you're shopping for your mini stuff online anyways, consider using them to support an LGS that hosts game nights and a place to play for their local players. If you're in the UK, shop at Tritex and use the code TRITEXGGCP5 at checkout for an extra 5% off. And if you use that on a pre-order item, like whatever AMG is going to reveal at Gen Con next week, it will save you a total of 25% off of MRSP. It is also thanks to Tritex that we get to do a monthly giveaway. All you need to do is be subscribed to the channel and leave a comment on a video the same month that it was released to enter. For those in the US, head to GameChefs.org and use the code GamersGuild, no spaces, to save an extra 15% off of their already discounted prices, which comes out to a really good bargain on your end. However, I will continue to say if you're shopping from your own LGS, just keep supporting them. We all understand. And with that, I want to say thanks to the members of the Guild Hall who are supporting the channel and podcast with your contributions. I really don't think it is a far stretch to say that I would have stopped doing this a time or two at this point, if not for that additional support. So thank you all. And thank you all for watching. Until next time, keep on gaming.